Today's video, we are looking at walk pirouettes and some exercises to help improve them. Walk pirouettes are a difficult exercise and one that a lot of riders struggle with, even some of the upper level riders. I find it's very rare that you see a walk pirouette done really well. And the reason that the walk pirouette is so difficult is that we have to control both the forehand and the quarters at the same time in order to get the proper bend. The most common mistakes that I see in the walk pirouettes are either that the riders lose the rhythm and the hind legs stop walking, so the horse will stick and pivot around the pirouette. That's the first most common mistake that I see. The second most common mistake I see is that the rider loses the haunches completely to the outside. So the horse ends up just kind of pivoting around and swinging their haunches out instead of actually walking around the turn and bend. And the third is when the rider brings the haunches too much to the inside and you end up walking just a really big travers circle and the shoulders don't turn at the same time. So the difficulty is basically that riders often struggle with controlling the positioning of the hindquarters and controlling the forehand at the same time. We tend to get control of one end and lose control of the other. So we get the haunches in and we lose the shoulders, or we get the shoulders in and we lose the haunches. And this exercise will help riders to achieve the proper bend without losing the shoulders or the quarters. What you'll need are some cones, and we're going to set the cones up on a circle in the ring, and you can vary the size of the circle. The horse that I'm demonstrating on, Demetra, is approximately 4th level at the moment, so she knows the exercise a little bit better. And honestly, this is a difficult exercise for any level of horse, whether it's a lower level or an advanced horse. It's tricky. It's not an easy exercise. So you can vary the circle size. For this video, I put it at about 10 meters for this mare. But you can make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller to make it easier or more difficult depending on the level of your horse and their abilities. So once you've got your circle, and you want to set your circle a little bit in from the wall, make sure it's not touching the wall because we need to have space around the outside. Now that you've got your circle set up, what you're going to do with your horse is you're going to start by walking around the outside of the circle, and you're going to try to position your horse in a slight bit of shoulder 4 position. And the goal is that you try to keep the inside 4 as close to the cones as possible while keeping your shoulder 4 position. So you want to try to make sure that they are not falling in or falling out. So obviously if you fall in, you're going to end up stepping on the cones, and if you fall out, you'll notice that you get too far away from the cones. So the goal is to keep the inside 4 landing as close to the cones as possible and keeping the feel of shoulder 4. Now once you've achieved that, you're going to bring the horse to the inside, and you're going to now position the horse into travers on the inside. And your goal is now to keep the outside 4 as close as possible to the cones. So you're making sure that when you position the travers, the horse doesn't make the circle bigger or smaller. Obviously, if they make the circle bigger, then they're going to be stepping on the cones. And if they make the circle smaller, you're going to find that you're drifting farther and farther away from the cones. Keeping the shoulders in when you're on the outside of the cones, trying to keep the right 4 as close to the cones as possible, and keeping the horse's shoulders as close to the cones as possible when you're on the inside of the circle in a travers position, keeping the left shoulder as close to the cones as possible. The benefit of this exercise is really a coordination exercise for both the horse and the rider to ensure that you can easily go from a shoulder in to a travers without losing the opposite end of the horse. So it's ensuring that the rider is checking out both ends, and it's also making sure that the horse has the coordination to be able to go back and forth. And once you find that you can master this exercise, you'll find that it really improves your control when you come into the actual walk pirouette. Good luck!